And we're live. Today, a little short segment here, just with Gene Borrello. I'm Felix Levine. And before we get into it today, just a quick reminder, like this video, subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't done so already, and then subscribe to our Patreon channel. All the content goes up there early, and then we also have some bonus content that goes up there, as well as an option to ask John and Gene questions directly that we do Q&As only for the Patreon. So go check that out. And also, we have now gotten full control over again of our audio podcast versions of every episode, meaning that now you can listen to everything on Apple and Spotify again. So if you prefer to listen to the content, you can go and do so. It should be updated, up to date by the time you're listening to this right now. So that's exciting. And then also, if you do listen, please make sure you rate and review the show 5 stars and leave a comment. Gene, we were talking off air, but also I'm always curious by how it really worked in the mob with regards to sports betting, bookkeeping, when guys can't pay, when they can pay, when they pay not enough, how you deal with that. I know that that's obviously one of the big ways in which the Mafia made money. So first, if people didn't listen to our previous episode on how kind of sports betting works in the Mafia, will you just give a quick breakdown to sum it up, exactly how it works as you being, formerly in the Mafia, how it would work when you were collecting, and exactly what the process is like?
Well, usually you have a main office. You have a guy that backs the main office. It's usually a wise guy, skipper, whatever it is, whoever has the office, big betting service. And then you have runners, guys that get the half sheets, because back in the day they had guys that answer the phones. They don't have that no more. It's all done through the overseas. So you would have a guy that would ask for a half sheet, and he would go to our office, which is Ronnie G's office, and he would say, Ronnie, I need 12 accounts, 15 accounts, and he'd get the accounts, and Ronnie would say, okay, deal with Gene. So I would deal with the guy, if he had 15 bettors, and like I said, if the sheet lost 10,000, the guy has to turn in $5K to Ronnie, and he keeps 5,000. But I would just be the in-between guy for all Ronnie's sheet guys, because he didn't want to deal with them. I would just deal with them. So that's how the sports bet would go. Now, as far as responsibility,
I'm just going to interrupt you. Mm-hmm. How do you make money off that?
Well, I only make money on my half sheet. Ronnie just had me do everything for him because I was so close to him. So Ronnie would just say, meet up with all my half sheet guys. So I would meet up with all of them. He had Gambino guys. He had all kinds of guys with half sheets. So particularly, I would make money on my half sheet. I had like 20, 30 guys that were losing a lot of money. I was actually, for one point, bringing him in the most money out of all his guys. And I was never the biggest earner.
And that's usually they're mostly degenerates?
Well, I had big sports bettors at the time.
Okay.
So I got lucky with this big group of sports bettors that were just losing a ton of money. You know what I mean? But then we got cracked one week on my sheet for like 75,000. It happens like that.
So what happens then when you're down 75,000?
I go in the red for 75,000. So Ronnie has to pay out 75,000. But a lot of times it's Peter pays Paul. It depends on if everybody wins. If everybody wins, then Ronnie got to pay directly out of his pocket or pay from another half sheet that might have lost. But for my half sheet, they were losing every week, and Ronnie's like, not only do you do all my violence, but you're actually making me the most money right now for football season. I says, really? I said, more than Pudgy? He goes, yeah. Pudgy didn't like that because Pudgy's, the only thing he had was money. You know what I mean? So that was just for a short time, but Pudgy was his main earner. And how the half sheets work is basically like, if the sheet's over $50,000, Ronnie G has to get $25,000 on Friday. You bet from Monday to Sunday, it has to be paid on Friday. If the money's not there on Friday, 25 G's has to be there. He don't care about my end.
All cash.
All cash. It has to be there. He don't want to hear it. You're responsible for your guys. There's no, oh, Ron, I'm giving you a half sheet. You're making half the money. You don't want to hear who could pay and who can't. So if the sheet, like I said, loses 50, 60, whatever it is, you cut it in half. I keep half, he gets half. But it's, like I said, they want their money on Friday. There's no Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's got to be Friday. That's it. Mm-hmm. So if no one pays you, you're responsible for that 25,000.
So now, do you have any stories of guys that were down and you had
I was going to go into how guys are so treachery in one particular incident. I remember there was a guy named Joe Dicario. He was locked up with Ronnie G, and they went Fort Dix together. They became really good friends. And Joe Dicario came home, And Ronnie sent word, says, "Oh, I want you to deal with this guy. He's going to be with us now." He already got chased from the Genovese family. We didn't know about all this stuff, whatever. So he started doing sports loans, loans with Ronnie. And sure enough, me and him are hanging out, and he disappears for like a month. Now he has like 150,000 out with Ronnie J. Now Ronnie loved this guy, and actually he was a great guy. I loved him. I got along with him great, but he pulled the weasel move on me, and I got along with him so good. He was a good guy, good-hearted person. And what ended up happening is that he disappears for a month. Now this guy's going ballistic in jail, and he's going crazy. I mean, he's sending word, make sure the kid. That my code name was the kid, because he loved the email. He loved the email from the feds about what to do. This is an email. You can't do. He's giving them emails. They can read them. So he's basically sending me on email to get a guy. And I remember his brother-in-law came and told me, he says,
It
listen.
doesn't sound very smart.
He wasn't, but he was just a thug. He was a thug guy. He didn't care. Okay. At the time. He didn't realize how much we were being watched. So they were just watching us. So he goes, listen, Joe Dicario is not paying. He goes, you got to go get him. I never forget this because I like Joe. And I remember he's ducking me, and I left a message. Says, Joe, I'm on my way to your house. He called me up. And I got nervous with him because he called me up on the phone and he's like, Gene, what's the matter? I says, Joe, I'm coming to your house. He goes, you going to shoot me? On the phone. My ex-girlfriend sitting right next to me when he said it. I'm like, what is this dude setting me up right now? I got all nervous. Now, he's probably scared because Ronnie always used to talk about, I got this kid in the street. He's a maniac. He does everything for me. So he thinks I'm coming there to get him, which I was. I wasn't going to shoot him. I was going to crack him with my infamous billy club that I like to use. So, long story short, I get nervous. I go back and I tell Ronnie's brother-in-law, I says, yo, this guy pulled like a half a rat move. He said, like, am I going to shoot him over the phone? So now we're getting nervous. Long story short, Joe gets in touch with me secretly. He goes, Gene, can I come see you? I says, yeah, sure. He goes, Gene, I'm jammed up. I can't pay. I says, what's the matter? He goes, I messed up with the money, da-da-da. Can you help me? I says, listen, I'm a score guy. I says, you want to make money? Give me some scores. I'll make some money. I says, well, I'll make us money and I'll help you pay this guy off because he's not going to stop with you. He's going to have me come after you all the time. He don't care how close you are. When it comes to his money, I'm coming to get you. I'm coming. So we ended up where he gives me jewelry store robberies. Now I'm doing jewelry store robberies for this guy in broad daylight to help this guy. I'm just getting to the point where the weasel he is. So I'm doing broad daylight jewelry store robberies for this guy. We come off of one jewelry store, we get like $300,000. He makes money on that. He's paying Ronnie again. He's catching up. So,
but of that 300,000, what portion goes to what he owes you?
No, he's just basically meeting up and paying the vig. So he's happy he could pay. It got him back on his feet. I did it for him because I liked the guy. Generally, he was my friend. We got along good, and so now he's back on his feet. I did a fucking broad daylight jewelry store for him. I basically did it for him to help him out. And, of course, I made money on it, but it was like I didn't want to have to hurt him, basically, over the money. And I remember it was so funny because, like, Ronnie comes home now. Joe's back to normal. And now he gets a half sheet with Ronnie. So I'm always talking with Joe. All of a sudden, this guy's losing $50,000 a week, $60,000 a week, paying with, like, rusty money. It's all water damage money. And then he pays Ronnie back all the loan money he owes him, like $100K in rusty money.
When you say rusty,
it was like water damaged.
Like as if
it's like it was somewhere in the attic. So now my spider senses are tingling. I'm like, how is he paying all this money? He's losing $50,000, $60,000 a week. He's paying in rusty money. I'm like, this motherfucker left me out on his score, man. After what I did for this guy. So I'm like, wow. And Ronnie's like, he keeps paying this rusty money. Now he don't know I did things for him to help.
But what is the difference between? Is there any technically like an $100 bill that's rusty or an $100 bill that's?
No, it's damaged money. It's like brown. It's like water damage.
But it still works.
Yeah, it's still good money, but you could tell it's the same money. He had bulks of it. So I'm looking at it, and we look at the years. It's all 99, 2,000 years money. So it's been sitting there for a long time wherever he got it. So I'm furious right now inside. I did things to help this guy. He was meeting up with guys in Middle Village. He was so scared he owed other guys money. He was bringing his kids with him, bro. So they wouldn't beat him up in Middle Village. That's the kind of guy he was. And I liked him. I had his back, So I think he's my good friend. So I'm seeing all this money being paid back. And now I'm getting mad. And Ronnie's like, oh, man, he must have came off with a lot of money. He says, yeah, still in my brain. I'm like, all right. I called him up. I met up with him. I says, yo, what's up? I says, not for nothing. He says, when you were in a jam and you needed my help, I did all this stuff for you. And now I see you blowing like $200,000-$300,000. You bought your wife a $30,000 ring. You got all this money. I says, what's up? You left me out. He goes, oh, Gene, I had to do it by myself. I said, you had to do it by yourself. I says, really? Because one of my other friends had told me he was bragging. I came off big. I says, Joe, it's a real fucking scumbag move. I says, I helped you out. You were jammed up. I was supposed to shoot you for Ronnie. I beat him up, whatever. And I says, and this is what you do? I says, do me a favor. I need 40K. Can you do me a favor? He goes, yeah. He knew he was never getting the money back. So next week he came, he brought me 40K. And I says, you're never getting this back, right? He goes, yeah. I says, you're a real fucking scumbag for what you did. You left me out of that big ass score. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean about how people are in their life. He came to me crying. He couldn't pay his VIGs. He was going to get beat up. I was supposed to shoot him and all this stuff. And then he wants to go do $1 million score from what I heard and left me out of it. So this is the kind of the stuff that you deal with. You know what I mean? This is why I mean that they're all no good. Then I find out they straightened the guy out. I'm like, for what? So this is the life. You know what I mean? This is how I know. And I found that out through sports betting because he kept paying back with all the rusty money.
Wow.
Yeah. And then before I left to Florida, he paid Ronnie another $40,000 and I took that too.
Wow.
So I got him good, so.
And then what does a guy like that become? You know?
What do you mean, him?
Yeah.
He's a made guy now from what I heard in Long Island. This guy never been in a fist fight. This guy never did nothing, But, that's just the life it is now, and I really liked him, but he pulled a douchebag move on me, And that's just to show people, like, what kind of people you're dealing with. They're not your friends. It's just whatever they could get out of you. You know what I mean? I literally stuck up a jewelry store in broad daylight for this guy to help him pay Ronnie so I didn't have to shoot him, to be honest with you. And now I heard he's walking around like a big shot when he was a straight clown. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's a lot of people will be fascinated by that story. And where can they follow you on Instagram?
GenieBoy666.
And for myself, at felix.levine. And again, another reminder to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Like this video. Subscribe to our brand new Patreon channel. And if you're listening to this, rate and review the show 5 stars. Thank you.
Take care.